Hello race fans and welcome to round 11 of the World Touring Car Series, live here on RaceSpotTV. There's 6 races to go. We are in very much the business end of this championship, and 2 men trying to take the crown, Corentin Guinez and Ross McFarlane, and we'll have all the action for you here tonight on RaceSpotTV. It's myself, Peter Mackay, alongside Nolan Rempel. How, if my eagle eye is serving me correctly, Nolan, you've got your new RaceSpotTV merch on the go.
Oh, you know I do. It's going to be good. I'm ready. I'm pumped for some more touring car racing here at Silverstone. Who knows what's in store for us today, but hey, may as well look good while talking about it.
Absolutely, quite right. Well, as you can see, we're nearly at the end of what has been an epic opening season for the World Touring Car Series here in 2022. Silverstone National will provide the action for us tonight. Next week, we have our season finale at the Daytona Road Course. What a place to finish this season out. This is how the standings look at the moment, with drop scores included at this stage. Corentin Guinez leads the way on 1,799 points. Ross McFarlane a little bit further back, 66 points further back, but there's 85 for a win, so not all done yet. Kieran Harrison sits in third, with Wojciech Savidovic in fourth, and Carl Janssen, he rounds out the top 5 in the pro standings. In the AM standings, it's Jake Blackhall who leads the way by a healthy margin of 123 points over boosted SimSports' Ben Gregory. Then it's Neil Butler from Majors Garage and Tom Dadswell in fourth. Michael Polishek, he rounds out the top 5 with Majors Garage FSR Audi. In the team standings, well, it's Ross McFarlane's crew, Pure Sims Esports, that lead the way over their main rivals, Core Sim Racing Orange, 3,841 points to 3,684. Core Sim Racing Black, the sister team, they're in third, with Semper Racing in fourth, and Pure Sim SimLab, they sit in 5th position in the standings at the moment. Silverstone National, a much shorter version of the very well-known British former airfield circuit. Only 1.64 miles in length, but high action on the circuit here as well. And we've had so many great moments with touring cars here at Silverstone, and none other than Rory Butcher, Scotsman, won here twice last year in 2021. Is that a moment? We shall see. Well, our very own Paul Smith here at RaceSpotTV, racing in this series for Team Mad, has put together a very handy track guide for us to show us what this Silverstone National Circuit is all about. Check it out.
Hello everybody and welcome along to this track guide with me, Paul Smith from Team Mad, and well, we're here for the penultimate round of the World Touring Car Series, and we're right here, back again to Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. This time Rather than being the Grand Prix layout, which we started off the season with, we're going around the national layout. 1.6 miles in length. Speed is king around this layout. You've got to use that slipstream to your advantage, and you can certainly keep a pack together. Gets really close racing around here. Only a couple of real overtaking opportunities down into Beckett's and down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. So definitely you're going to have to be careful and time your runs. Work the other driver and really think about your moves before making them. It's a nice wide track for us all out there. What's it like to do a lap? Let's have a look. Okay, here we are then. Silverstone National. Penultimate round of the touring car season for us. Out of Luffield, get the speed run out of there, carry the speed then through Woodcut. You can cut this quite a bit. Can't say I agree with that, but still, track limits as they are. Down towards Copse Corner then. Brake after the 100 metres. You can cut the inside of Copse a little bit. Let the car run out wide over the curb, not too far to get an off track. Maggots and Beckett's next. Wide entry into Maggots, straight up your braking. Into Beckett's then this hairpin that cuts through between the two parts of the Grand Prix layout onto the Wellington Straight now. If you're going to see some moves, it's either at Beckett's there or down the Wellington Straight here, down into Brooklands then. Right hand side of the track, between the 100 and the 50 board, down to third gear. Don't cut the inside of that curb too much in qualifying or else you'll get a slow down, an off track should I say. Luffield, you can V this one off, getting the power nice and early on corner exit. And again, over the inside of Woodcut. And that is a lap. These laps come thick and fast around here at Silverstone. You're looking at around about 1 minute a lap. So 20-minute races. It's going to be fast, it's going to be intense. We're going to see lots of packs out there. This could be NASCAR racing on the road here in the UK. Hope you all enjoy this one. I certainly will.
Thank you very much to Team Mad's Paul Smith for that handy track guide. We hope you enjoyed it, folks. But now it's time to see how they line up for round 11 of the World Touring Car Series, live here from Silverstone. And well, we've got used to saying this, a course in racing 1, 2 and 3 in qualifying, with championship contender Ross McFarlane in 4th. Tyler Maxson, the Hyundai factory driver superstar, qualifying in 5th, his best of the season, with Wojciech Savidovic in 6th. Then it's Alex Neller in the first of the Hondas, followed by Mikael Garcia, Oscar Mangan and Michael Polishek. Then Jake Blackhall rolls off from 11th alongside Stain Ledger. Jack Sedgwick will start 13th, followed by Tom Dadswell, Michael Evdoka, Ashley Beard, Jamie Rushworth and Ben Gregory. Starting 19th will be Mark Fletcher in his Audi alongside his fellow Audi, Fraser Smith. Not such a good qualifying for Fraser there. Sean Gardner will start from 21st in the boosted Honda, with Lee Berridge in 22nd, Pete Newman 23rd, and Elliot Roberts rolling off 24th in the Craig Setup Shop Honda. Then it's Andy Sheila in the Free M Honda, followed by Paul Smith in his Hyundai Veloster. Dan Murray will start 27th, followed by Jonathan Walker, Neil Butler, and John Roberts. And finally, 31st on the grid will be Dan Robbins. So a front row start alongside familiar faces. Corentin Guinez, our championship leader, will roll off from the outside of the front row, exactly where he needs to be to fight for this championship. But Nolan, very quickly, great qualifying from Tyler Maxson, much better.
A much better start indeed, and it should be interesting to see what he'll be able to do for us as we get set to go racing once again in Silverstone, making our return since we, of course, came here for the season opener several months ago.
We certainly did, yes. The drivers couldn't get enough of it, and this is, well, it's an iconic track for touring car racing, and we are about to get the green light. The revs begin to rise. We're about to go racing here at Silverstone. Carl Janssen leads us away from pole position. Green, green, green. Down towards turn 1 they go, down towards the infamous Copse Corner. Very fast right-hander, there they go, side by side, and already, a problem for Maxson. Oh no, after the 5th on the grid, he's gone off the road at the first corner. But who is going to make it into Maggots ahead? Is it going to be Guinness? Is it going to be Janssen? And look at those 3 Core Sim racing cars, 1, 2 and 3 with in qualifying order with Ross McFarlane right there in 4th place.
A stellar start then. And once again, it is a Core 1, 2, and 3. Here comes McFarlane though, to the inside of Kieran Harrison, trying to hang it high and wide around Brooklands. He'll have the inside for Luffield, Will Harrison. McFarlane still trying to work the high lane, but it's not going to happen. And so it will be Cornton Guinness to lead the opening lap from Silverstone.
Oh, I got one of the boosted Hondas off as well. That's the number 56 car there. That's Sean Gardner. Oh, that's a pity. Not a good start there as well. So fast and furious here at Silverstone National. The lap time under a minute in qualifying. So really fast and furious indeed. Let's see what happened to Tyler Maxson. It looked like he just got a really slow getaway, and well, he got nerfed there. And well, poor old the Arjunas on the car there getting nerfed from the side. But anyway, they get away. All Hyundais at the front, and oh dear, the 38 Hyundai Elantra off. That's Tom Dadswell, one of our contenders for the AM Championship. So not a good start to the day for him, but it's Guinness from Janssen from Harrison. And you have to say, Nolan, here, I mean, Harrison and Janssen, even if they have a very slim mathematical chance, really their chances of the championship are over, and they can play a perfect protecting role here for their colleague Cornton Guinness.
And that's a Craig setup shop car that's now off and in the grass. And that's a mix of Brooklands, and that was Elliot Roberts. No doubt he got there with a little bit of help. You don't find yourself facing backwards that far into the grass unless you had a bit of a helping hand. But so far, still a Core 1, 2, 3, and this is the strategy that we have seen time and time again from these Core drivers. Get the fastest out in front, and then immediately go and play defense for all the others. This is a replay of, I believe, what happened to... Well, this is what happened to the boosted Honda. Just got sent off, and it was one of the full send Audis that got into him just turning in from the outside lane. Oh, it's been a contact up the road. Was that Maxson again there?
Yeah, I think Maxson just got a bit hot into Brooklands, and that created a little bit of a chain reaction there. Just unlucky for all concerned. As they all float through past Brooklands once again, around Luffield, and then the wind up of the power towards Woodcote. Fantastic corner here, absolutely flat out as well, and you can see the drivers really running it right up towards the wall there to run through to complete the next lap. Guinness leads then from Janssen, from Harrison. McFarlane has got to try and find a way to get through that Core Sim Racing stronghold. He's got to try and get through and get on the course of Guinness, get on the case of Guinness, excuse me, and try and unsettle him. He's got to make up ground. He has to put Guinness under pressure.
Right on board with Miguel Garcia. He's looking set to try and go to do just that. So this is going to get a little bit more intense. And oh yeah, more drivers having struggles. Jamie Rushworth for the Pearson SimLab machine. Off and into the grass. That was coming up into Maggots. So that's a bit of an interesting spin there for one of the Pearson's Audis. And might have been Benjamin Gregory that gave him a helping hand in that one. That would be Amon Pro. And so far, still got all these fights looking to develop. And this is what happened to Jamie Rushworth here. Oh, wow.
Oh, and Dadswell really paid the price there as well on that number 38 Hyundai Elantra. Absolutely an innocent bystander, but it really is an accident hotspot there at the Silverstone National Circuit. Maggots, we saw an enormous accident for Rory Butcher there a couple of years ago in his Ford Focus at the time with Matt Neely. Had a clash with him and ended up with a huge barrel roll. As that's Sevdoka in the Audi has gone again, another problem at Luffield, and whoa, that was what triggered the Craig setup shop crash for Elliot Roberts. Good news is you're near the British Racing Drivers Club there, so you can park up and go and, drown your sorrows with a nice glass of vintage champagne.
That's it again, but he got turned across the nose of. But I have to say, I'm not quite sure that was all on Maxson there. You can kind of see he was already quite unsettled by the time he actually cut across him and ended up turning himself across the nose. So you got a lot of drivers that are just struggling to make up some ground and just hang on to whatever spots they can early on. Here's a look at the replay. And now this is what I believe happened to Jamie Rushworth. And was it Benjamin Gregory? This would be... I would have been down
behind him, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was a little bit of a lap early there on that one, but nonetheless, a big spin. But so far, a lot of the drivers have been doing well to recover. You still got 31 of the 32 cars on the track, and 30 of them are on the lead lap.
Yeah, and staying on the lead lap in this circuit is not so easy as well. As, oh, look at Paul Smith there, jinking to the outside as he head into Maggots. And oh, Pete Newman gets into the back of Lee Burridge, sends him for a spin, and Burridge loses 4 positions there as well. He'll be furious about that at the wheel of the 54 boosted Hyundai. As they head down towards Brooklands Corner, underneath the British Racing Drivers Club, and Paul Smith, he's going for the Hollywood move. He wants to try and give the crowd a show here, and oh, a little bit of a nudge on the quarter panel there of Pete Newman. But Newman holds firm on the inside into Luffield.
Wouldn't be a touring car race without a little bit of rubbing, right? As Paul Smith's Veloster will go up against the Elantra. And behind them, one car coming to pit road. Neil Butler has already hit the incident limit on just the 7th lap, and he's in a pit road.
Wow, that is... for those who are new to virtual motorsport and to the World Touring Car Series, first of all, welcome. But the drivers have a certain number of incident points that they're allowed to accrue. Those are accrued by breaking track limits. That's 1 incident point. Contact can be up to 4 incident points. That's where you rack them up. And well, already Neil Butler racking up too many contacts, and he has been sent for a drive-through penalty. I do wonder if Tyler Maxson will have the same fate soon.
Paul Smith still looking to work on that Pure Sims driver, Pete Newman. This time he'll clear on the exit of Brooklands and cuts back in for Luffield before that 58 car can fight back. Andy Shield in the Honda Civic getting muscled out and into the gravel by Jonathan Walker. He got the battle first on the bottom right of the fight for 18th, the fierce fight at that for 18th place, raging on the main stage. And I wonder if Paul Smith might be able to break away. It will be difficult, though, because he has lost the draft, the 17th place driver of Jake Blackhall up the road.
Yeah, Paul Smith has done well to fight himself to the front of this group. The only problem is, as you say, Nolan, there's a huge gap to the next group as well. And as you see, Paul Smith goes there nice and defensive there at Maggots, trying to get the power on early and not be exposed on the run towards Brooklands. You really do get some superb racing here at the Silverstone National Circuit, using up less than half of the overall circuit length, but it's a real cracker as they head down the Wellington Straight now, past the British Racing Drivers Club, the club that have owned this. Whoa! It's Paul Smith. Well, that's not a good way to submit your entry to the British Racing Drivers Club there, having a little moment wide there. I don't know if he got a hand, though, from Pete Newman. Possibly.
I think it was very close, but I think he went around just slow enough that he could be given the benefit of the doubt. I think that was just a self-inflicted error from Paul Smith, but it has put him in a very fierce side-by-side battle, and you've got Tyler Maxson right behind, thinking about 3 wide. Oh, look out! The Civic goes around, clipped the grass when he slammed onto the brakes, and that is what sends the 007 car around. So Andy Shield tumbles now out of this fight, which will continue to rage on down into Maggots at turn 2 for the 9th time today. And we're not even halfway through already, 9 laps down. This is, of course, the shortest track we visit on this first ever series or season of the World Touring Car Series. And so far, these guys are doing an excellent job of being able to manage it and give it us some great racing while we're at it.
What is it that Denny Hamlin says? That's just short track racing. That's what we're doing. We're going short track racing tonight here in the World Touring Car Series. So let's get a replay then, right into Brooklands then. And, oh, there's just the ever so slightest contact there. And that's enough to unsettle Paul Smith. I wonder if Paul was actually getting a bit deep anyway, as was Newman. And Newman just tapped the rear, and they both carry on, which is good. And they'll live to continue what is a thrilling fight. But back at the front, in window on the right hand side of your screen, the 3 Sim Racing Hyundai Elantras lead the way from Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims and Wojciech Savidovic for Semper Racing. That's a replay of Andy Shield there getting a little helping hand going through Cops, and McFarlane trying to make a move on Harrison, but Kieran Harrison's so good, very hard to break that stronghold. But look at the driver in 6th position, Michael Polishek, by far the leading AM-class driver in the number 45, and, well, up to 6th position. That is some drive.
Certainly is. It's been an excellent run so far as he finds himself now up in 6th position. So Michael Polishek will continue to try to fight his way up into the top 5 of this race. And don't look now, but Fraser Smith is ready to break into the top 10 as well. He started down at 20th place and is now in 11th. He has gained the most spots out of anybody on the racetrack so far today. So we'll continue to observe all of these little battles as the night goes along. And of course, you know they're only going to get more intense when the reverse grid comes around, as that, I believe, was Jonathan Walker rejoining the track at turn 1.
Yeah, the most stylish driver on the grid, owner of Free M Racewear. And I bet he's been busy the last few months getting all the drivers ready for the new season with their new branded race gear as well. And it's just beginning to be a little bit of a break here. Kieran Harrison dropping back from the leading 2 pair, and he's under huge pressure from Ross McFarlane in the white, blue and black Hyundai Elantra for Pure Sims. Looks up the inside now, does McFarlane, into Kopp, shows a nose. Oh, heirs of Hamilton and Verstappen, but they make it through clean.
This is definitely a pinch there, and now he's going to try to battle back into Maggots, and this could be time. McFarlane has to yield, tries to maybe go for the over-under, hoping that Harrison will overshoot. He does not. So Kieran Harrison holds on to 3rd place. But down the Wellington Straight, you know there's going to be a good overtaking opportunity here down into Brooklands, and McFarlane's already looking for it. Deeper on the brakes, lunging for 3rd place, trying to muscle out the Core Sim Racing driver, the 93, but Harrison has the upper hand through left field, and I think he'll just be able to hang on to the 3rd place, and sure enough he does. Ross McFarlane just can't do anything. Lovelace is too long of a corner to hang it around the outside.
McFarlane is trying everything. He knows he can't afford to give away any points to Corentin Guinness, who already has a good lead in this championship with just 6 races to go, including this one, 5 after this. And, well, Corentin Guinness at the moment looking very comfortable as well, and that must be so comforting, having 2 teammates right behind you holding basically a almost impenetrable force field. I mean, if you can get past Kieran Harrison, that's great for Ross McFarlane, but then he's got to worry about Carl Janssen, and if you get into a fist fight with Carl Janssen, you can often come away with a bloody nose. So, well, this is not what Ross McFarlane wanted, but Core Sim Racing showing that the strength in numbers and showing that they really are one of the most impressive touring car outfits in the iRacing world. Whoa.
And that's the fight for 14th place now. That's going side by side down into Brooklands, and I believe that was Ashley Beard trying to get around Michael Avdaka, and in fact was actually defending against the Pure Sims Audi. So you got a group of 4 that's battling arguably a little bit harder than the whole top 6 are fighting for the time being. And of course it helps that all of these drivers are from different teams except for 2 of them. There are 2 cars from Pure Sims in this grouping, but they are being split apart by one of the boosted Hyundai Elantras for the time being. So Ashley Beard leads the way from Avdaka. Benjamin Gregory's in 16th with Jake Blackhall in 17th place. You were riding the world's Blackhall for the time being, and now Avdaka trying to go over under. A little bit of a nudge from behind by Benjamin Gregory as they fire their way back onto the Wellington Straight.
Fantastic motor racing here. We've got 6 minutes and 18 seconds left on the clock here at Silverstone National. Still opportunities for those wanting to make moves, and a perfect 6-car train of Hyundai Elantras here in all different shades and colours, of course. The 3 white and orange Core Sim Racing machines at the front, then it's the white and blue of Ross McFarlane, and then right behind him is the orange Semper Racing Hyundai Elantra of Wojciech Savidovic, the multiple champion in iRacing touring car competition. Then it's the amazing Michael Polishek, by far and away leading AM driver, and he's in position to score some huge points in that championship. Now, he does come into this round significantly behind in the AM championship, but that's going to give him a huge boost in his points total, as we see Avdaka trying to get past Ashley Beard at Maggots, but no dice just there.
We're side by side and all the way through Copps, and I think it was a little bit of a nudge from Benjamin Gregory down the pit straight that helped him to stay in front. And now look at Beard going defensive. Avdaka's going to fall him down, but then cuts back to the right, going to try to outbreak him here into Brooklands, and he has, but just a touch later, really pinching in the 95 car. Beard's going to instantly return the favor by muscling the 989 out towards the right side of the track, out through left field. But I think Michael Avdaka might just have it. This is exactly what was happening just 1 lap ago. Benjamin Gregory out through Wellington is going to be able to get a solid drive down the pit straight here in the run to Cops. Looks like he's going to actually give a nudge to Avdaka, boost the 989 car into turn 1, and I think that might be enough to get Avdaka the position.
Brilliant racing there from Michael Avdaka. It's taken nearly half a lap, in fact, call it 3/4 of a lap to get the move done. Still not got it done yet. A little bit of door-to-door action there as they come through. Maggots, noses and rear bumpers getting just a light touch there as they go on to the Wellington Straight, and Michael Avdaka, can he hold off Ashley Beard here and his Hyundai Elantra as they head up towards Brooklands? 4 minutes to go on the clock, and this is the battle. This is the battle for 13th place, and it is no less intense than that one at the front. Guinness leads that charge at the moment from Carl Janssen and Kieran Harrison, so still Ross McFarlane has not been able to break that Core Sim Racing stronghold.
He's not been able to break through, indeed, and I'm honestly curious to see how this fight for 13th is going to play out, because it is definitely a bit more hectic back here in the mid-pack than it is at the front of the field, and that's nothing new, right? That is just the norm at this point for the World Touring Car Series. This has been just one maddening season from start to finish. In every race, it has been the mid-pack where things have been the most intense. And whoa, hello! I think that's Dan Moore that takes a huge slide all the way through Brooklands, and that was a very, very lucky rejoin there. Obviously couldn't slow down at all, but he was lucky that he didn't collect anybody else that was flying back up on him.
Yeah, I didn't quite see who that was who just gave the hip check there, and it was had big consequences if Avdaka's still trying to hold off Ashley Beard. But back at the front is the Core Sim Racing trio floating through Woodcourt now with Ross McFarlane in the mirror, but still the Scotsman second place in the championship just cannot seem to get a break there as well at the moment. If they finish the way they are, Guinness would score a maximum of 85, and it would be 75 for Ross McFarlane, so that would extend the championship advantage to nearly a full race win. So, but of course, Nolan, we have the what should we say, the mix-up, the potpourri of the reverse grid to come up in race 2 and race 3, and that of course has been where Ross McFarlane has kept himself in this fight, and now he's going to make a move here down into Brooklands, but can he get it done, or is he going to get boxed in with Carl Janssen? Is Ross McFarlane going to be able to pinch the place from Kieran Harrison? Not yet. Harrison gives him, a little bit of contact there, and that's going to give Savinovic the chance to make a run. So, from what looked like maybe an overtake, it's now a place loss for McFarlane.
Still has Cops to go, though. Big contact again down the pit straight, and Michael Polisiak just watching on from behind with a front row seat to this fight, no doubt trying to figure out who he wants to follow through. McFarlane's able to hang the outside around through Cops, and the run down to Beckett, they are still dead even with each other, but Swinovic holds the inside, deeper on the brakes, there's more contact, McFarlane gets shoved out wide, and all of a sudden Polisiak gonna make up 2 as they exit down the Wellington Straight.
This is some performance from Michael Polisiak. Remember, we do see podiums, we occasionally even see wins by AM-class drivers in race 2 and 3 when we have a reverse grid, but it's highly unusual in race 1 because they start in qualifying order on pure pace. So Polisiak really throwing it down here in the full send Hyundai Elantra, but it's been a terrible lap for Ross McFarlane. First of all, gets a tiny little bit of edge out from Kieran Harrison, all fair, but that just killed McFarlane's momentum, and then Savinovic with a much firmer move into Maggots. Now remember, Savinovic, he's in 4th position and he is trying to catch Kieran Harrison in 3rd, so he's got his own agenda here. And now, did we get the white flag there? I think maybe just.
It's always close when it comes to these types of shorter races, but I think they did just manage to take that white flag. So we've got a top 3 breakaway, and I would be very surprised if we saw these guys battling each other for the win. They really, really like to just stick together and play wingman to one another. They do have a bit of a gap, though, that they can afford to lose. Back to Wojciech Swinovic. So they approach Brooklands Luffield. We'll see what Janssen wants to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very much stay in line here. If you're the Core Sim Racing manager, you're Drivers' champion, Drivers' champion, elected driver, if you like, leading the champion at the moment, looking to win the championship, comes out of the final corner. The checkered flag is in the air through Woodcourt. It's going to be Corentin Guinness wins here in race 1 of round 11 of the World Touring Car Series, and that is a critical blow to the championship hopes of Ross McFarlane, who can only manage 6 after being 4th for most of the race. But drive of the day, well, could it already go to Michael Polishek, 5th overall, top of the AM class by 8 positions. Incredible.
I think before we completely rule out Ross McFarlane, we really should see how much or how bad that reverse grid is, because that's the one really big thing about Ross McFarlane, right? He finds it a little bit difficult for him to get up there and get passes up into the lead in particular, right? But it is worth noting that as soon as he is up there, he's essentially unpassable. Like, I very rarely get to see anybody actually initiate a pass on McFarlane once he's leading and actually make it stick. It could be very, very difficult for Guinness, and who knows, maybe McFarlane will be able to charge it back down. You mentioned that those crucial final race wins are where he has kept himself in this fight. It could be what keeps him in this fight for just one more event.
Yeah, that has been his secret weapon all season long, that's for sure. Well, let's see what happens with our spinny wheel and see what the reverse grid is going to be. There is an option for a complete reverse grid, but where is it going to land? And what do they mean? According to Guinness, he'll be hoping that this is a nice short number. Coming to a stop now. Eking through. Is it going to be 19? I think it's going to be 19. So that would put Pete Newman on pole position. Tyler Maxim will start from the front row, and Paul Smith right behind on row 2. So, ooh. Game on here in the World Touring Car Series. Race 2 coming up very soon. Let's go through the results of race number 1 and see how they finished after 20 fast and furious laps of the Silverstone National Circuit. According to Guinness, then, your winner, a critical result in this championship fight. Carl Janssen came home in 2nd, with Kieran Harrison making it a Corsim Racing podium lockout. Wojciech Savidovic finished in 4th after fighting his way past Ross McFarlane, and then, well, man of the moment, Michael Polishek in the AM class, 5th overall in his Hyundai Elantra. Ross McFarlane finishing 6th. He'll be upset with that, I'm sure. Miguel Garcia was 7th, followed by the first of the Hondas, Alex Neller and Jack Cedric. Stain Ledger rounds out the top 10. Good debut from Stain Ledger in the series. Fraser Smith was 11th, followed by Mark Fletcher, Ashley Beard, Ben Gregory and Michael Evdoka. Then it's Jake Blackhall, with Paul Smith coming home 17th, Tyler Maxiden 18th, and our reverse grid pole sitter for race 2, Pete Newman, finishing 19th. Rafael Dressaz rounds out the top 20 for Semper Racing. Then it was John Roberts in 21st, followed by Jamie Rushworth, Lee Berridge, Oscar Mangan, Dan Robbins, Dan Murray, Neil Butler, Johnny Walker, Sean Gardner and Tom Dadswell. And the last 2, Andy Shield and Elliot Roberts. Well, what a start to the day. We saw battles up and down the field, Nolan, and I have to say I'm glad we've got 2 more races to go, because I love the Silverstone National Circuit. It really works for touring car racing.
It works for a lot of types of racing, in all honesty, because it's got just about everything you could want. It's got some pretty long straights, it's got some hard braking zones, and if you're not looking for one of those races where it can be very easy for cars to get split apart or you're just kind of hot lapping, it's good too for that, because it is, as we mentioned before, one of the shorter courses that you can find in the UK. So it is a very, very phenomenal racetrack. And of course, you got the international layout as well, but let's be honest, the national layout is what really shines. It's the layout that people tend to use a little bit more when they think of Silverstone. The international layout, as far as I'm aware of, doesn't see all that much use. But of course, when it comes to club racing over at Silverstone, that national layout really does seem to be the place to go.
That it does, yeah. I mean, we had a fantastic meeting with the British Superbike Championship last weekend to open the season at the National, and watching superbikes go around there, it's a thrill ride, that's for sure. But some great racing out there on track. But Corsim Racing, it's been so tough for anyone to get on kind of on pace with them qualifying. It's been their exclusive playground all season long.
Really has. I mean, qualifying is just where Core really seems to shine. In that opening race, they are just unbeatable. How many times have we seen, at the very least, Of course, Sim Racing 1-2, if not a 1-2-3. I believe there was one point early in the season where we saw a 1-2-3-4 for those core drivers, and one other where we saw them lock out the entire top 5. They are really one of the unstoppable teams, but of course, they have to be started up at the front. We have seen this before. They tend to falter a little bit when it comes to these reverse grids, so it seems like their game is all on defense, not so much on offense.
Great to see so many of you coming to join us in the RaceSpotTV chat room on YouTube. We're just going through some of the messages here as well. Hello to Rudd Grand Prix Speedrun Racing, saying first race is done, second race is next. You bet, it's coming up very soon here on RaceSpotTV. Slackjaw Hussein, I believe that's Naveed Hussein, very good touring car driver himself. I'm surprised he's not out on track tonight. Says great race by Cornton, absolutely great race by Michael Polishek and Mikael Garcia as well. We see also Karen Broughton says, this is not good for my blood pressure. Hashtag Team Harrison. Nolan, Mr. Harrison, he was certainly in the thick of it there. He was playing a vital role for his teammate Corn Seguinez, keeping Ross McFarlane at bay.
When it comes to these 1-2-3s, the three drivers each play an individual role. The role of the driver in first is to stay in first. Their job is to kind of lead the train around, don't make the mistakes, and eventually take them home for a race win. The job of the second driver in line is to push the one in the lead, to help them try to break away if something starts to happen a bit further behind. And the job of the third driver in the rear, they're rear gunner support. They're the drivers that really take the brunt of the blows of everybody trying to break through, and they allow the top two to be able to break away. And of course, if they do manage to get past that third driver, you better hope you're outside of a second, or you could be in for a world of trouble. Because once that first driver falls off, it doesn't take long before the others fall like dominoes.
Very true indeed. Hello to our very own Stefan Schlacker. Awesome battles and an awesome track. What more could you want? Stefan doesn't come out with sensible statements very often, but that's the most sensible thing I think I've ever heard him say as well. Love you, Steph.
Ouch.
So what else? So we're looking at some of our messages we've got here as well. Great to see so many of you coming in and taking part in the live chat. Do send in your messages here to RaceSpotTV on YouTube with myself, Peter Mackay, and Nolan Rempel would love to hear from you. And well, you do not go anywhere because we've got race 2 coming up very soon indeed. Predictions for race 2, Nolan, what are you expecting with 19 car reverse grid? That's going to put Ross McFarlane 12th, 13th on the grid, somewhere like that. Corn Seguinez is a little bit further back. What's this going to play out?
Well, let's think back to the first time we went to Silverstone. I think that's a good place to start, seeing as we're at the same venue. Race 1 had a bit of a shunt on the opening lap, but it was more or less okay. And of course, we had that play out the same way here, turn 1, over in the national circuit. I'm willing to bet it'll be just like race 2, where we got another bit of a shunt in the first corner. Might have a bit more than just 2 or 3 cars into this time around. Reverse grids have a tendency to do that. Copse is one of the more risky corners on the circuit when it comes to driving lines, because it's a corner all about bravery. It's about how fast do you think you can take it through, and that's really where some of the big margins are gained on this track. Some drivers will brake quite a bit for that corner. Some drivers will more just lift off and coast on through. Some give a small blip and then just hammer the throttle down to power out on the exit and take up as much of the curb as possible. You get all of these different drivers and you jumble them all up together. It's bound to create a couple of disagreements, shall we say, in those opening couple of corners.
Hello to Lord Hedge. Adam Hedgecock says, evening chaps, quite far back for the core guys in race 2. Very true, they've got work to do in that race 2. And it'll be interesting to see how far forward they can get. Indeed. Well, I'm so glad that we're racing here at Silverstone, because looking back in history in touring car racing, of course, the British Touring Car Championship is one of the top domestic championships in the world, and there's been so many great moments. One thing that's been kind of consistent to all of those moments is the man in the commentary box, Murray Walker, or Sir Murray Walker. We greatly miss Murray, who sadly passed away last year. But some of the touring car moments we've had at Silverstone have been fantastic. Do let us know your favourite moments in the RaceSpotTV chat. I mean, for me, my favourite one is 1992, the championship showdown. Steve Soper and Scotsman John Cleland having a little bit of an altercation, and John Cleland, that saying will go down in history. The man's an animal, was his opinion of Steve Soper. There was also a little bit of single digits communication to other drivers as well, which Murray Walker said, "I'm going for first." It's not necessarily what it means. Or my favourite, Nolan, the car on its roof is a Toyota.
I'm sorry, the car on its roof is a Toyota.
The car on its roof is a Toyota. If you've never seen this one before.
I don't watch touring car racing all that much in the real world. I tend to be a bit more bogged down with some of my real world work, but I would say that's a bit of a unique line, and it actually brings me up to the one touring car moment that sticks out to me. I believe this was 2016, would have been at Snetterton for the British Touring Car Championship. One of the cars right out of the gate, it was a Chevrolet, I remember that much, clipped another driver out of the line, I believe it was a Ford, flipped over straight into a camera scaffold, and knocked the whole thing over, cameraman and all.
Yeah, that sounds like British touring cars to me. Now, one man I know who will have some memories of touring cars, particularly at Silverstone, is Paul Smith, and he joins us right now. He's hopped out the Hyundai Veloster for Team Mad and come to join us and have a chat. Paul, first of all, how was that first race for you? That looked fun.
Yeah, that was tremendous fun. 9 places gained from where I started. I'll take that every day of the week. That was intense. That was really, really intense, but a lot of fun out there. That is what touring car racing is all about at Silverstone. And I knew it was going to be some good fun. And yeah, it showed. It absolutely showed out there.
It did. Now, we've just been talking about favourite touring car moments at Silverstone, of which there have been many. My obvious one, Paul, is the man's an animal, John Cleland. But they all have one common theme. It's all Murray Walker with his voice behind it. Matt Neal, roll, 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 all the way down the straight. Any memories that come to mind for you?
I think it was 1995. It was a bit of a resurgence, late career resurgence of Will Hoy in the Renault Laguna, and it was Silverstone where it really sort of clicked for him. And in the wet at the Grand Prix weekend, and that was a tremendous race. John Cleland won that race, by the way, in the Vauxhall Cavalier with the beautiful white livery with the yellow dashes down the side of the car. But yeah, getting somebody like Will Hoy to have that bit of a late career resurgence was fantastic to see, and it was started here at Silverstone.
Now, what I want to know, Paul, is have you signalled to anyone in this race saying that you're going for first?
No, because my stream is strictly no swearing, so we can't be doing that. It's not on my stream.
Even if you explain that you say you're going for first? No. Well, I hope, Paul, that the car on its roof will not be a Hyundai, for your sake.
I'll tell you what, though, second and third for me and Tyler on the starting grid. Arjuna has done a far better job than Hugo ever did with the spinny wheel, so thank you very much for organising that for us, Arjuna. Much appreciated.
He's RaceSpot's very own Alan Gow.
Yes. But I'm looking forward to this race. It's getting the car off the line, which isn't always consistent. So if there's any Audis around us, they'll get a really good launch from the start. And it's just a case of them trying to get up to speed. Our car seems to come alive compared to others the last sort of 6-7 minutes. It seems to be we're seeming to look after the tyre temperatures a bit more than others, and that's what happened in that first race tonight. So hopefully, touch wood, it continues.
Well, we wish you got 3.5 minutes of practice to go, Paul. I'm sure you'll be using it wisely. Good luck for race 2, and go get him in that Team Mad Hyundai Veloster.
No worries, thanks guys. Speak to you later.
So our Team Mad's Paul Smith come in to have a chat with us as well. And now track temperature, I would say on the high side for Silverstone, 34 degrees track temperature. Nolan, what's that going to do for our drivers when they get out there?
could make the racing a little bit more aggressive, right? Because it's going to allow that track to get rubbered in just a touch more. So you mentioned a little bit of a hotter track surface, but it's not where it's really where you have to get all that concerned about it. That would be when the track temperature starts to push into the 40-degree range, of course, or maybe, closer to the 37s or so. So it's definitely not within the danger zone just yet. This is what we like to call optimal track temperatures, because it's not so hot that you're going to just overcook the tires and they're just going to fall off and cause it to get loose. And it's not so cold that the track is going to be slicked off and you won't be able to find any grip anywhere.
Well, we'll see how it plays out when we get going. We've got racing coming up in just over 2 minutes' time here at Silverstone National for round 11 of the World Touring Car Series live here on RaceSpotTV. It's Peter Mackay and Nolan Rempel bringing you all the action here. And a huge thank you to our series sponsors, 3M UK. 3M UK produce the, well, fantastic race protective wear, race suits, boots, gloves, everything you need to keep yourself safe in the race car or in your go-kart as well. But 3M also produce a glove designed specifically with the sim racer in mind, giving you great grip on the steering wheel and with handy material on the fingertips, so you can check your handheld device and send text messages and answer all your to all your fans on your Twitch stream. However it is you like to go racing, get yourself a pair of 3M sim racing gloves from them. Also, touring car racing, like any competition here on the iRacing platform, these machines are scanned exactly as they would be in the real world, and you can get into the garage and tweak them and tune them. The problem is, if you're not an engineer, it's easy to get lost. There is a solution to that. Go on to Craig's Setup Shop website and get yourself a setup for these cars. We've got a couple of Craig Setup Shop cars running in this event. Jack Cedric, Craig Williams himself, and Elliot Roberts. And you can get a setup that they run on their Honda Civic Type Rs, and indeed lots of other cars on the iRacing platform. So do check them out and support our series sponsors as well. I imagine the 3M factory at the moment has been working overtime, Nolan. It's new season, new liveries. Any new liveries that or paint schemes that you've seen popping up recently that you think, oh yeah, that's nice?
I haven't seen a whole lot, to be honest, nowadays. It seems like everybody's more settled into the rhythm of this is the paint scheme that I want to run for the remainder of the season, although I will say I do find it a little bit entertaining, the fact that you got a face exclusively made out of Arjuna faces. It just happens to be Mr. Kakabati that's doing our production for tonight's race as well. So there you go, a little bit of a tribute for you. There's Waluigi on that car? I think see that before.
Arjuna Luigi.
Oh no.
Warjuna. No. Yes. There's the virtual Porsche experience with some nondescript cars parked outside it, and the highly unusual wing complex here at Silverstone. I have to say, it's now, isn't it? It's Darlington coming up soon. You get the classic liveries coming up soon, if I'm not mistaken.
And they typically call that the throwback week when it comes to paint schemes. And they do that in the real world as well. The NASCAR Cup Series, they all will quite frequently revert to some older paint schemes for just kind of one-off events.
Quite right, too. Well, this is how they roll off for the second race of the day here at Silverstone. Pete Newman and Tyler Maxson are your front row, with Paul Smith and Jake Blackhall on row 2. Then it's Michael Evdoka and Ben Gregory. Ashley Beard starts 7th, followed by Mark Fletcher, Fraser Smith, Stain Ledger, Jack Cedric and Alex Neller. Then starting 13th, it's Michael Garcia, followed by Ross McFarlane, Michael Polishek, Wojciech Savinovic, Kieran Harrison and Carl Janssen. And our race 1 winner, championship leader Corentin Guinez, he starts back in 19th. Then it's Rafael Drachaz, John Roberts, Jerry Rushworth, Lee Berridge and Oscar Mangan. So, let's see what Pete Newman can do in that Pure Sims Hyundai Elantra from pole position. Off they go, and it's another steady getaway for Tyler Maxson. He's going to get swamped there as well. Already getting into a bit of hip and shoulder. Good getaway from Paul Smith though.
Oh, there we go.
Hyundai Veloster. Oh, Maxson off again at turn 1.
Saw that coming a mile off, and they're going to go almost 4 wide as they rejoin the track at Cobbs, down into towards Magus. This is where it's all going to get a little bit more hectic as drivers scramble left, right, and center.
Smith
off the track, jumping over the sausage curves, but he's going to be able to rejoin. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage, if any, on that car. They're beating and banging behind. That's a full single Elantra that just got body checked off by one of the Core Sim Racing drivers.
Well, what a chaotic start there, but no such problems for Pete Newman. He's got a great gap already of 1.5 seconds nearly to Jake Blackhall in second position, the AM-Class driver. Then it's Ben Gregory in third, and look there, that's Jack Sedgwick in the blue and yellow Craig setup shop Honda Civic Type R as they go through Woodcock. And Sedgwick trying to hold off Stain Ledger, who's had a great debut start to his championship charge here in the World Touring Car Series.
Phenomenal start indeed, and we'll see what Jack Sedgwick will continue to be able to do as they go side by side, and one driver gets all sorts of crossed up on the exit of Cups there. I believe that may have just been Alex Neller in the number 67 Honda Civic. Down the Wellington straight for the second time today. That gap still not shrinking in too much for the top two.
So just coming up to complete lap 2 now as they head up down underneath the British Racing Drivers Club, jostling for position into Brooklands Corner. Now let's see what happened to Maxon there. Now he gets a little bit of a hip and shoulder and then just gets pancaked out there, really being the jam that squeezes out the sandwich there, sadly.
And that little bit of a kiss with the wall is what may very well have done Maxon in, although he is trying to close up to the rest of the field. We'll continue to see what this will do for him. This is another replay. This happened to Paul Smith. Just ran a bit too wide through maggots and hopped across one of the access roads and then rejoined. No problems for him. It was really behind him, one of the full send cars that kind of got a little bit crossed up, but luckily again managed to rejoin without any incident.
Yeah, just got a little bit too hot in there. Maybe the front tyres just a bit cold at the start of the race. Now, what's happened to Pete Newman? I think he's got a slowdown penalty. Pete Newman is slow on the outside of the track, and it has to have been a slowdown penalty because he had a big lead and has given away 3 positions now to Blackhall, Gregory and Sedgwick. Now they're fighting over the scrap. They're thinking, oh no, I want the lead. No, I want to take advantage of this. Yes, please. So Jake Blackhall now up into first position. Now the only other scenario possibly for Pete Newman is that his teammate, although they're in different colours, they're both run by Pure Sims. Jake Blackhall is leading the AM Championship. I do wonder if that's had something to do with it, but let's see.
I think it may have actually been...
slow down. Yes, that'll do it.
Yeah, out of Cops. Yeah. That tells the story right there.
Yep.
You run... Goes to show you can't just get slowdowns from cutting the course. If you take too much of a gap on the outside of the course, it'll give you a penalty for gaining an unfair advantage as well. So Jack Sedgwick just got past Benjamin Gregory for the second position, and they got 2 Pure Sims Elantras side by side behind them. Pete Newman going up against Steve Ledger in his debut start. Pete Newman to the inside of Brooklands, but that 85 car will hold the inside when it comes to left field. Oh, and the full set car sends it in. Fraser Smith punts Pete Newman out of the way.
Yeah, Fraser Smith, he's certainly been pretty vocal about the balance of performance. His old Audi RS3 maybe not cutting the mustard in his opinion, but he's getting the most out of it tonight. Is young Fraser up into 5th position and, well, trying to find his way through on Stain Ledger now and giving him a little bit of a rub there coming through Cops. It's so close, but it's Jake Blackhall who leads the way from Sedgwick in second place. Then it's Ben Gregory as well. Now remember, Blackhall and Gregory, they are first and second in the AM class standing. So do keep an eye on that. That battle really matters.
I think there was a really big shun more towards the tail end of the field. I'm seeing Lee Barrage was stopped for a good while in the exit of Maggots, and I tell you what, it's getting a bit messy when it comes to this race, isn't it? And I mean, what else is new when it comes to Silverstone racing? I mentioned we'd be seeing a couple of much bigger shunts at the start of race 2 than we did in race 1 if the Grand Prix race here was anything to go by. And sure enough, that is exactly what is starting to take fold. So you see Pete Newman pulling the side, and he's got a slow down penalty as well. He has to let Jensen through, McFarland, Swertovich, and I think Smith all going to be going through. Sorry, it was Harrison that went through on Pete Newman as well. That is a disaster for the 58 car, who's lost about 5 spots in one straight because of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of, McFarlane was ahead of all three of the Core Sim Racing drivers, and it just got a little bit shuffled out there, but he's got back past Janssen again now as well. Oh, contact now, who's that?
That's Guinez!
Oh my goodness, it's Corentin Guinez off!
And his car is destroyed. We're talking 2 wheels fell off of that car. He lost the right rear wheel, and then I believe it was the left front that also got ripped off when he slammed into the wall. So Guinez is out. That is a huge change up here for the championship.
Oh, big contact there between Paul Smith and I think it was Avdoka again. Him and Paul Smith and Michael Avdoka have really been getting into it today. Well, the car with 2 wheels is a Hyundai, and it's Corentin Guinez, championship leaders. Hyundai, let's see what happened. Now that is a Full Send Racing Hyundai Veloster getting into a little bit of hip and shoulder there. Guinez comes back onto the track, back into the pack there, and yeah, just get into proper argy-bargy. That's race over for Guinez now. Unless there is a big reverse grid, Guinez could be starting from the back in race 3. All of a sudden, McFarlane in 8th. Nolan, it's game on.
And at that point, when he hit that inside wall, he had already had the left rear wheel be ripped off on that initial hit with a concrete barrier. Just goes from bad to worse, really, for Corentin Guinez. So we'll have to see what will happen to that. That could be a huge change-up, though, for the championship. And up in front, Jack Sedgwick in his Craig setup shop number 10. Still leading the way. Jake Blackhall, though, wanting to find a way through. So you got 2 different drivers, both leading Pro and Am class leads, running 1-2. At the moment, Steve Ledger, a former Full Send Racing driver, going to be wanting to try to find his way through, and quick, because don't forget, he's got a former teammate of Fraser Smith right behind him.
Oh, and I'm sure that will really have major bragging rights involved, as well as Savinovic and Harrison now going side by side with Ross McFarlane right behind there in the white and blue Pure Sims car. Now, I'm sure the Pure Sims team manager will be on the radio to Ross McFarlane saying Guinez is out. He is in the pit lane. He is not going to score. He's not going to score the point, so just keep it nice and tidy. And this championship is right back on again. Guinez, I mean, really, you could say quite unlucky there. The driver that was involved in that incident was the Hyundai Veloster for Full Send Racing of Mikel Garcia. Garcia did carry on. Where is he now? Garcia is now down to 20th place. Guinez still sitting in pit lane and has been for 2.5 minutes.
I'm not surprised there. I mean, Guinez is going to be very much out of the 5. We are not going to be seeing him back on track for race number 2 here. Or if he is, he's going to be at the very least several laps down and with no hope on making extra positions up. Fraser Smith cuts to the inside of Steam Ledger. And look at that. Audi versus Hyundai. And 2 former teams versus each other. Steam Ledger not pleased with how Fraser Smith cut him off on the exit of Maggots. Going to be looking to battle right back down into Broken Spot. Look out! Here comes Alex Neller trying for a 3-wide dive bomb. It's not going to happen, though. Ledger coming him off, and he just came right back, and Fraser Smith gets sent around. It was one of the core drivers, Carl Jensen, slamming into Fraser Smith, as well as Alex Neller and Fraser Smith going around in a big way. And just like that, Smith's out of the top 10.
Oh, that's Christmas Day for Ross McFarlane there. I mean, Alex Neller just getting into the side of, I think it was Carl Jansen. Yes, it was. And that cleared the path for McFarlane, and he picks up 2 free kick places there, up to 6th place now. And this is just even more bad news for poor old Corentin Guinez, he's in the barrier, and McFarlane is making up positions and moving forward too. He's got Alex Neller ahead, who surely has some damage. Let's get another look at it there. So Harrison's on the outside, and yeah, I don't think there was really room there, but just stuffs it up the inside there, does Neller, and messy one, but the end result is good news for Ross McFarlane in his championship charge. He's got ground to make up. He needs these points desperately. But back at the front, it's the Honda Civic Type R of Jack Sedgwick. Fastest lap of the race in race 1. So clearly got good speed underneath that car, no?
When doesn't he have good speed underneath that car? I mean, Jake Blackhall has gotten one of the quicker drivers when it comes to these reverse grids. He has very consistently been battling for these top 10 positions whenever these reverse grids have come up. And so far, he and Blackhall both starting to break away, leaving it from third on back to about the 7th position. All in one long line in the run down in towards Maggots as well. Blackhall not making any move for the race lead just yet, but you can see Ross McFarlane working his way up and past. Alex Neller starting to drop back a couple of spots right behind them as they run double file down the Wellington straight. Neller's in the tuck-in line way at the back of the grid in his boosted Honda. And will there be any moves be made here into Maggots? McFarlane looked for a lunge on his teammate, but decided against it and opted to just tuck in line. But it's not going to be very long before Ledger starts to try to move Gregory out of the way.
Well, we'll see then. I tell you what, if you're Jake Blackhall at the front of the field here in second position, right behind Sedgwick, I mean, they're lapping a couple of tenths quicker than the group behind, certainly on the last lap by, and yeah, about 2 tenths quicker last time by. So yeah, if you're Jake Blackhall, you don't need to win this race overall. Second place overall would be fantastic and would give great points. And of course, can't afford to get into any argy-bargy because Ben Gregory, he's right there in third. But Ben Gregory has got a whole world of problems of his own. He's got McFarlane, Ledger, Harrison, Naylor all right behind him. Now, Ledger has already dropped behind McFarlane, so I wonder if that formation flying has already happened, Nolan.
At this point, it's kind of a who knows type of situation, so we will continue to tag these battles as here's a fierce one. Paul Smith taking it 3 wide down into Brooklands. Evdoka trying to hold on against Oscar Mankin, who wants the inside. No contact. Tor gets into Pearsons. And how about Paul Smith just stealing it away from the outside lane from both of them? They were too busy fighting each other tonight. They didn't even notice that Paul Smith was even there.
Paul Smith on the high line in the Hyundai Veloster makes it work, and through he goes into 11th position, third in the AM class. Paul's had a really strong last part of the season. Probably from about halfway, he's really gelled with the Hyundai Veloster, switching from the Elantra to the Veloster, and it's really made a big difference for Paul Smith. Now up into 11th overall. Further back though, there's a little bit of side to side there with Mangan and Evdoka. A Corson racing car and a Pearsons car. Well, further up the field, we've got that as well. McFarlane now up into third place. He's got past Ben Gregory in the boosted car, and Harrison knows he's got to make a move and make it quick. Harrison's got Stain Ledger right in front of him there as well, so McFarlane is broken free from Harrison, and Harrison now getting heavy into the rear of Ben Gregory, trying to force a path through. He can't afford to let McFarlane get away.
And behind them, you can still see that fierce battle as well, raging on for the first spots outside of the top 10. Where do you look? The fight for third or the fight for 11th? There's just no telling which way we should look. Harrison is going to be clearing Steen Ledger, and that's going to allow Carl Jensen through into 7th place. So no moves being made so far in the fight for 11th, which I think is going to calm down for at least 5 seconds. And now Steen Ledger is going to get punted by the likes of Carl Jensen, who's immediately going to start battling with his teammate Kieran Harrison to try to find his way back up through the order in the number 92.
Well, with 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go, that's not good news for championship contender Ross McFarlane. Carl Jansen's got huge speed here as well. He's very quickly recovered from that earlier incident, and he'll be looking to try and make a move on Harrison and try and move forward as Ledger's in the middle of the sandwich and Savinovic is going through. Neller on the outside. Pete Newman, he's there in 10th. Remember him? Goodness me. Can we just come to the Silverstone National every week, Nolan? I'm loving this. We've broken Nolan Rempel with this racing.
I know, right? I mean, I'm a bit of a loss for words. I mean, this has just been one of the most intense races we've seen since the start of the season. I mean, Silverstone just has that air about it, right, where you want to win here, and you're willing to do anything it takes to win here, regardless of what layout it is. It is one of the most coveted racetracks to win at when it comes to British motor racing, and for good reason. There's so much history steeped around Silverstone, and you don't quite ever know what's going to happen when you come to a track like this. And it is just epic when it comes to touring car racing. You can see the likes of, looks like one of the core drivers. That's Kieran Harrison looking at the inside of Benjamin Gregory trying to attack for 4th place. Gregory's got the inside, but now it's Harrison who's going to get bodied out. That's going to allow, once again, Carl Jensen to throw his Hyundai Elantra into the fray.
That was Janssen getting the hip check, the 92. So Janssen getting a bit of a hip check there from Gregory, and Harrison on the inside now as well. Now, will that have damaged Janssen's car? It did seem a pretty heavy hit. It's Jack Sedgwick at the front of the field with Blackall right behind him. But McFarlane on the charge. He's charged from just inside the top 15 all the way up to third position. Guinness is in the fence. And Ross McFarlane is trying everything he possibly can to keep this championship alive. He's won plenty touring car titles before in the iRacing world, but he really wants to be the inaugural champion of the World Touring Car Series.
And lunging for the inside line, this is the fight for 11th place. Polishek and Oscar Mangan battling out for 14th place. They make contact as they start to thunder down the Wellington straight. Polishek has the inside lane, Mangan on the outside. Mark Fletcher wants to find a way through it in front of them. You got Smith and Avdoka also in the fierce fight as they slam onto the brakes for Brooklands. Smith is going to muscle his way past Avdoka. Polishek wants to find a way through as well. Oscar Mangan is still looking very frustrated in behind. He has not been able to find any kind of path through. And in front of them, way up the road, Wojciech Swirdowicz to the inside of Benjamin Gregory, almost banging wheels in the run down to Cops.
Yeah, Ben Gregory is really getting roughed up now, and that's certainly getting roughed up. Oh, big contact there with Steen Ledger, and it's broken Ledger's suspension, I think.
He just busted him out into the grass. I think he's going to be fine for now, but I can guarantee you, if Ledger gets back to him, we are going to see blood in the water. This is about to get messy if Ledger can get back to him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be hot under the collar, but so is Ben Gregory. Ben Gregory has really been roughed up by this leading group coming through. He's now down to 7th, and his championship rival, someone who he cannot afford to give points to, Jake Blackall, he's up in 2nd, and I tell you what, Ledger
he was trying to wreck him.
Yeah, could have avoided that contact. I think that would be fair to say. And yeah, Ledger's reached the incident point limit, so he's gone down for a drive-through penalty. So Steen Ledger, after a great start to the race, well, not so good. Not so good to finish there. Now, back at the front, Ross McFarlane, 3rd place. He is 4/10 of a second faster than Jake Blackall and 3/10 faster than Jack Sedgwick. Now, that might sound not much. Well, on a lap that's under a minute, that's a big margin. Ross McFarlane is on the charge. 2 minutes 20 to go. Can he get any more points? And can he do it before Kieran Harrison and Carl Janssen catch him? Oh, Harrison on qualifying pace last time by 59.9, the only driver under a minute. Wow.
On board with Ross McFarlane, who is desperately trying to run down Jake Blackall to maybe help out his Pearson's teammate in a bid to try to go over the race lead as well. And they need to find a way through before those two cores catch up to them, because we know for a fact that core can be pretty fierce when it comes to offense. You mentioned it before. You get into a tangle with the likes of Carl Janssen, you're usually going to come out with a bit of a black eye. So Carl Janssen, no doubt about to be taking prisoners here as he looks set to try to run down the top 3. McFarlane runs super wide through Cops just to try to carry the speed. That was very borderline of being a slowdown penalty, but I think he might have just gotten away with it.
Well, one thing with Ross McFarlane is he'll know exactly where that line is, and he's run it right up to the edge. His team boss, Ash Sutton, is the master of that in British touring cars. He's going right up to the edge of what is allowable, and that is what you have to do to get the best out of these cars. Now, are we going to be taking the white flag? I think, yes, we will. We will be starting the final lap here as we come around Brooklands and Luffield as, Michael Avdoka is shutting the door hard on, now, that was Polishek, I think. That's not cricket at all there. And poor old Michael Polishek getting nerfed off the road in the 45 Hyundai Elantra, but never mind, we get back to the front, and it's Jack Sedgwick who leads us into the final lap with Blackall right on his bumper. Then it's Ross McFarlane. So can McFarlane get another point or 2 here? If he can get up into 2nd position, it will be another 3 points to his championship, and that will really matter if he can do that. But of course, the driver up ahead, Jake Blackall, he's leading the AM standing, so he's got his own championship to fight for. So into Brooklands for the final time they go. Can Sedgwick defend from AM-class driver Jake Blackall? He's had so many giant killing performances this season. Is it going to be again? I don't think so. I think for Craig's setup shop, for Honda. It's going to be Jack Cedric exits the final corner. Through Woodcote he goes. Jack Cedric is your winner here in race 2 at Silverstone. Jake Blackhall, your AM winner in 2nd overall. And Ross McFarlane, 3rd place, with Corentin Guinez, championship leader, in the fence. Nolan Rempel, we've got a championship fight on our hands here.
You can gain, I believe it's 85 points for every one of these sprint races. If you don't score any points and you're still within that 85, you are in very, very big trouble, especially with Ross McFarlane finishing in 3rd. What was it, a 66-point gap, give or take, when we entered tonight? That gap has at least been halved by now.
Well. We shall see how it shakes out. It is very, very curious indeed. Now, time for the spinny wheel. What is the reverse grid going to show us here? Corentin Guinez, he will not be included in this. He will start from near the back of the grid. So, is it going to stop on 21? This is critical for Ross McFarlane. If it's 28, that's not good news for him. Is it going to stop in time?
I think it will.
Yes, it is. So it's going to be a 21 car reverse grid, which means that Steen Ledger will start on pole position alongside his 3M teammate Jonathan Walker. Right, this is how they finish race 2 of the evening. The Honda of Jack Cedric for Craig Setup Shop wins the race by a whisker from AM class sensation Jake Blackhall. A huge haul of points for Blackhall towards his AM championship charge. Ross McFarlane from deep in the pack comes through to 3rd place and puts his championship charge right back on charge. Kieran Harrison was 4th, followed by Karl Janssen, Wojciech Savidovic and Ben Gregory rough back a little bit and finished 7th. Pete Newman was 8th, with Alex Neller in 9th, and Paul Smith getting an overall top 10. A great drive there from Paul. Oscar Mangan in 11th, with Mark Fletcher 12th, Ashley Beard 13th, Tom Dadswell in 14th, and Rafael Drachaz rounding out the top 15. It was a bruising race for Fraser Smith. He finished 16th, with Andy Scheel, Mikael Garcia, John Roberts and Tyler Maxson rounding out the top 20. In the last few, Michael Evdoka finished 21st, with Jonathan Walker 22nd, then it's Elliot Roberts, Steen Ledger, Lee Berridge, Sean Gardner, Neil Butler, Jamie Rushworth, Michael Polishek and Dan Robbins. So I apologise to be Michael Evdoka, who is our pole sitter. Johnny Walker missing out just for our race 3 reverse grid. And the last couple on our results. In 31st position, not scoring, Corentin Guinez and Dan Murray. Well, Nolan, I mean, Corentin Guinez, no score. McFarlane on the podium. All of a sudden, we're right back in the game again.
Holy cow. I mean, what a second race. I mean, and you know, there's one more race to go, so it's probably going to somehow manage to get even more intense than that, at least in the opening couple of laps. We saw a lot of really big smashes in the opening 5 minutes so of that second race. I would be willing to bet that we will be getting a bit of an even bigger pile-up in the third race. I remember when we were here for the first race, the season opener. It was the third run of the first event here at that Grand Prix circuit. Didn't even get off the line before we already had a 6-car pile-up on the start-finish line.
Yeah, we've definitely come a long way. I think we had some pretty comical accidents in the opening stages of the championship, and the drivers have really got on top of that. And I do believe it has hit. We've had a sort of consistent grid size the last couple of weeks of around 30 cars, usually just over 30 cars. At the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the season, we had like 60. And it just did get a little bit congested. And here at Silverstone National Circuit, it's tight, it's twisty, and we've had some fantastic racing over the last few weeks particularly. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of this grid size. What about you? Has that been the factor, or has it just been the drivers getting used to each other, do you think?
I think it was more drivers getting used to each other. Obviously, you have a good chunk of those guys who were, of course, racing in that World GT Championship as well, but touring car racing and GT racing are about as far apart as you can get when it comes to different types of racing, on the road racing scene at least, when it comes to iRacing. Touring cars are a lot, they are slower, but they're a lot more physical. Pack racing is not uncommon to see, so you have to really drive the cars a lot differently. So I think that's what some drivers were just having to struggle with in those opening rounds. They were having to figure out, how does everybody race? How do they start these races? How do they fight at the end of the race as opposed to the start? All of these various factors play into how these drivers want to kind of game these races out. And then, of course, the feature events, the couple of feature events that we had where we had 2 40-minute races as opposed to 1 or 3 20-minute races, same situation. How do they last over a longer run? How do they race around pit stops, etc., etc.? It's a constant interchanging web of factors that these guys have to factor in. But the good news is, when it comes to how racecraft is, usually you'll know just about how everybody's going to race after the first couple of rounds.
Great to see so many of you taking part in the chat here on RaceSpotTV. Lorenzo Bonder, well, I'll not repeat it, but he's a big fan of your shirt, Nolan. Let's just say that. And am I right in saying that you get your own name on the back of it as well?
You do. You do get your own name on the back of this one. I think Lorenzo still waiting for his on that one.
Ah, well, hopefully it arrives at Shea Bonder very soon. You can of course get now. Do forgive me for not knowing this, Nolan. Is these available to the public, or are they for RaceSpotTV staff only?
You are asking the wrong person, my friend, for that one.
Yeah, let's see. I'm sure we'll be told quick enough. They're available for anyone. Ah, yes, our producer's right on top of that one. rstv.shop. So you get your RaceSpot merchandise. But make sure you get your 3M sim racing gloves first. That should be first on the top of your shopping list as well. Ooh, I tell you what, Nolan, I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Core Sim Racing team room right now and the Pure Sims Racing team room now, because this race 3, for me, this is the most important race of the season so far, I believe, in the outcome of the championship.
It's a bit of a toss-up at the moment, isn't it, as to who could be coming out on top in this championship. I mean, at first it was looking like this would be very much Guinez's championship to lose, and he may have very well have at least lost a good chunk of it over in race number 2. And if this was race 1, you can kind of get away with a mulligan or 2, but these are critical steps in the championship phase where every last minuscule of a point really, really matters. The fact that he scored nothing, I believe, and Ross McFarlane finished in 3rd. That is a massive points deficit now that Guinez has lost. I don't think he's lost the championship lead just yet. I think he is still very much in the points lead, but he's not in the lead by very much anymore.
No, and this is where it gets into the complicated part of drop scores, where there's the drivers have drop scores, and I really not wanting to get into the permutations of that. Certainly not without making some very strange faces as my brain tries to keep up with it. We will try and keep an eye on the point standings as well, because it will depend on the point scores. Now, Corentin Guinez did miss one round completely, and on the other hand, Ross McFarlane's drop scores are still quite good races, so he has less to lose, if you like, I think, is the way that it permeates. So all Corentin's got to do here is just try and get to the front and recover that damage. I think that was not in the plan to end up in the fence in race 2, and something that actually we haven't seen from Guinez for quite some time in this championship.
Now, admittedly, it wasn't entirely Guinez's fault that he never
no,
he did get turned, so it's unusual to see him in the fence, but I think the more unusual thing is to see him in that type of situation in the first place. Usually he's good at avoiding the mess, and that's usually because he's, well, in front of it. But it goes to show that a track like Silverstone National, where the draft is so crucial and overall pace not so much, just how different of a race you could get. I mean, Guinez often is better on raw pace. He will just outpace his competitors in the corners, but he has not been able to do that so far today. Because look at all the long straights. There's only really one medium-speed corner where you'd be able to realistically pull away on overall pace. Everywhere else, you can just reel them on in with the draft right away.
Yeah, very true. Very true indeed. Well, the drivers are now out in their warm-up session. Just over 5 minutes to go before we go racing for the third and final race of this 11th round of the World Touring Car Series. We'll have all the action from flag to flag here on RaceSpotTV. It's Peter Mackay alongside Nolan Rempel in the commentary box, and a huge thank you to our series sponsors, Free M and Craig's Setup Shop. Of course, the Craig Setup Shop Honda taking the checkered flag in first position. Jack Sedgwick taking the win for that outfit in race 2. And there's the beautiful Free M Honda Civic of Andy Shield. And I think even if you ask them very nicely, they'll make you race overalls in that colour scheme as well. And of course, trusted with a number of drivers up and down the grid all over the world are Free M. They even make overalls for the great Larry Ten Voorde, a very patriotic white and orange, of course, for Dutchman Larry, double Super Cup champion. So get on the Free M website, and if you want a custom-made race suit, custom-made gloves, or off the peg, they've got it for you there on the website. Go and check it out. Whoa, I can't imagine, Nolan, what the nerves will be like at the moment in those drivers fighting for the championship, particularly Guinez and McFarlane. This is going to be, this is such an important race. But Tyler Maxson in the Hyundai Veloster, he's going to get a third time lucky starting from near the front of the pack. The reverse grids have certainly worked in his favour, if nothing else.
He's just got to hope he survives turn 2 this time around.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the big ticket question for him, because he kind of got beaten around a little bit in the opening lap of race 1. He ended up in the wall at the end of turn 1 in race number 2. So I think his goal, first and foremost, get to the end of lap 1 without making contact with anybody else.
Yes, yeah, you want to try and get it through. Anything beyond turn 1 will be an improvement for poor Tyler tonight. It's not been his night. I mean, Michael Polishek had a superb race in race 1 in the 45 car, and race 2 ended in quite controversial circumstances. Would that be fair, Nolan, with Polishek ending up in the wall?
I think I would kind of agree with you on that one. I mean, Michael Polishek really did just have a more than unfortunate time for him all that time ago. So who knows? Hopefully we'll have a bit of an easier sort for us then here tonight. But it should be an entertaining third race, to put it mildly.
I think that we can guarantee. And we will have all the action here on RaceSpotTV. Cannot wait for this one. It's going to be vital, I think, to the outcome of the championship. And we'll see Michael Evdoka starting from pole position. He's had a pretty bruising night in the Pure Sims Audi, that's for certain. He'll be now, of course, we know, Nolan, that Audi, it gets off the line well.
It really does. I mean, the Audis are really, really good off of the line, it would seem, from a standing start. So we'll see if that trend will continue, but I would not be surprised if it did. I mean, so far, the Audis have been the cars to beat when it comes to these starts jumping off of the line like that. So who knows? Maybe we'll see one of the Hyundais try to battle back this time around, but the Audis definitely seem to get them in the run down to turn 1.
It's quite an important run here into Cops. You want to make sure you've got an optimum line, because just ask Max Verstappen if you can't get through the other side. It's a pretty quick journey to the wall. I'm sure that plays in. It certainly, every time I go through Cops Corner now in the virtual world, I always think, oh god, yeah, you've got to be careful through here because it's so fast. So just under 60 seconds to go, and we will be racing for the third and final time here at Silverstone National. Just 1.64 miles, but packed with action all the way around. Of course, this beautiful Silverstone circuit, flat as a pancake because it was a former airfield, former World War II airfield. Britain's second permanent racetrack, 1 month behind Goodwood Circuit, but Silverstone certainly had a lot more world-class competition over its history. Owned by the British Racing Drivers Club since 1951, and continues to be under their guardianship. Always get good hospitality in there, I'm told. I've never experienced it myself, Nolan, but maybe one day.
Perhaps one day somewhere down the line. Personally, for me, step one for me when it comes to British motoring, if I ever go and visit, will be go to Goodwood and the Festival of Speed.
Yes, very good choice indeed. Yeah, Goodwood is particularly special. I've heard that the revival and the members meetings, those are the ones to go to with the classics around the Goodwood circuit. Apparently, that's the way to go. But one to tick off the bucket list. Right, we're ready to go for race 3 here in the World Touring Car Series from Silverstone. A reverse grid, which has jumbled up the order once again, and let's see how they roll off for this race. On pole position will be Steen Ledger and Jonathan Walker, making it a free M1-2. Tyler Maxson will start from third time lucky, hopefully, for the American driver. Then it's John Robertson fourth, followed by Mikael Garcia and Andy Scheel. Then it's Rafael Dressaz, Tom Dadswell, Ashley Beard and Mark Fletcher, with Oscar Mangan and Paul Smith rounding out row 6. Then on row 7 it's Alex Neller and Pete Newman, followed by Ben Gregory, Wojciech Savirovic, Carl Janssen and Kieran Harrison. Okay, the drivers are ready to go. Starting 19th, Ross McFarlane, followed by Jake Blackhall, Jack Sedgwick, Elliot Robertson, Lee Berridge. Let's go! And it's a superb start for Steen Ledger and the Hyundai Elantra. Jonathan Walker bogs down. There goes Maxson from third on the grid. He goes into second place in the Hyundai Veloster, gets through clean, but Steen Ledger, has he got four-wheel drive in that car? He's gone.
Four-wheel drive is a bit of an understatement there. So is Tyler Maxson trying to run him down the whole field for the first time today, clean through cops on the opening lap. And it's been a phenomenal start action throughout the field. Very, very clean, unlike the first 2 races. So who knows what on earth has gone on here to make it such a clean race. So, well, hello, Elliot Roberts having a bit of a struggle, and he's not the only one. Sean Gardner right in front of him also having a bit of a smash. And Roberts has taken to the Grand Prix circuit. That's all I have to say about that one. So he is, I think, a bit done with everything at this point in time as the field battles it out through Brooklands and left field.
Yeah, he's on his way off to the car park as well. A number of drivers running wide there. Jonathan Walker running wide there, and I think that was Mark Fletcher running wide. Yes, it was. As he comes through Woodcote at full speed for the first time, and then down into Copse to start lap 2, and it's Maxson's got a much better start. We saw him have great speed in qualifying. He's been able to execute off the start line now, and he's off in hot pursuit of Steen Ledger in the Hyundai Elantra. Now, update on your... Oh, we've got the spinners in the background. It's one of the SimLab Audi. Big one coming out of Copse. Now is that Rushworth?
It is.
He
can't move.
Dear. So, update on your championship leader, Corentin Guinness. He's up to 23rd from the back of the grid and trying to get quickly onto the case of his championship rivals. But already we've lost Elliot Roberts and we've lost Jamie Rushworth.
Elliot Roberts has been given a black flag for exceeding track limits, I think going to be a bit of a generous way to put that mildly. So still a double file as if it's a high-speed pace lap out through left field and down into Woodcote. Carl Jensen holds the inside of Alex Neller in the number 67 Honda Civic, trying to keep in front of the 92, but he's going to back out and let Carl Jensen tuck in line. So it's single file down through Copse for the third time in the third race on the night.
So we get a replay then trying to dissect what happened to Rushworth here. Is right in the middle of the road there. I think it was on lap 1 there.
That's what happened to Roberts.
No, that's not Elliot Roberts. That's
Gardner. Sean Gardner.
Yes, that is one of the boosted cars. Yes, Gardner indeed. So back at the front then, it's Steen Ledger leads by 0.8 of a second from Tyler Maxson, but Maxson was just a shade quicker last time by on the first flying lap. Let's see how it looks when they get to the stripe this time by. There's Rafael Dressaz on the move for Semper Racing. He's up into 6th place, right behind Jonathan Walker. Now we're going to see what happened to Rushworth. He's there in the SimLab Audi, and he gets a big hit there from one of the full send Audis. I think that might have been Fraser Smith. So sore one there for Rushworth and out of the race. And they're all jostling around here as well. And our championship protagonists in there too, in that gap in the middle. Pete Newman in there with Janssen. Carl Janssen, great start, up to 10th already. And just a little bit further at the back of shot there behind Jack Sedgwick is Ross McFarlane. He can't afford to be there for long because Corentin Guinness will be right on his case.
3 wide, several rows deep. This is not at all the type of thing that drivers are looking to see, but it certainly is going to work for us. It is just, again, demonstrating how good of a track Silverstone is for racing. Ashley Beard really sanding it in on the outside line, but is going to end up just losing out time. Then one car went spinning off in the background. Oh, and now Dadswell gets punted. That was one of the full set cars that had gone off in the background. It's honestly a bit of a mess at the moment, and you don't quite know where to look or what to say.
Well, we'll try and keep on top of it as best as we can as Lee Berridge is flashing the lights and then bang, gets hit from the inside from, again, one of the full send Audis. I think might that have been Fraser Smith again, quite possibly, or either that or Neil Butler also in one of the full send Audis. And oh, biff, Alex Neller in the Honda right into the back there of Kieran Harrison. Good start from Kieran Harrison in the number 93 from the British University Karting Team Champion. Now, here's another replay. What are we looking at here? Like you say, Nolan, trying to... Yeah, and that's the pancaked into... Now, is that Blackhall in the SimLab Hyundai? I think it was there, getting pancaked out the way, going into Brooklands, but like we say, hard to keep on top of it was. Yes, it was. Yeah, getting confirmation. Thanks our producer for catching that replay, and that has implications for the AM Championship, Nolan.
It certainly does, so hopefully he'll be able to recover somewhat in the final round. We go racing at Daytona in the World Center of Racing. As they continue to go double file through Cobbs behind your lead groupings here. You are currently looking at third and fourth, and between Mikael Garcia and Oscar Magan, both trying to get themselves sorted. Oh, hello! Ooh. That's one driver way off the road.
Oh, that's watching Savinovic. Oh, problem. Oh, spin for Sedgwick. Spin for Sedgwick, and that was McFarlane. McFarlane got into the back of Sedgwick there.
Oh, no. The race 2 winner.
Oh, dear. Now, we've seen Sedgwick. Oh, no. I want to get another look at that if we can, because that has huge championship implications if that is the case. But that what we can tell you for sure is that that's cleared the path for Guinness. He's up into 13th. Guinness is in 13th already, so he's well past his championship rival McFarlane. Let's get a look. There's Sedgwick on the inside in the blue and yellow Honda. He nerfs into the back of one of the altitude cars. And then, oh no, it wasn't McFarlane. It was, I think it was Dadswell getting right into the back of Sedgwick. So Sedgwick bumps into the back of Dadswell. Then poor old Ross McFarlane, he has to get on the brakes and does very well to avoid contact, but that kills his momentum and he's now well down the order.
It's actually Beard that got hooked around by Ross McFarlane, and that is what really kicked off the spin there.
Dadswell.
Yes. And Dadswell was the driver we were taking a look on board with, so that is just unfortunate of the highest order there for Jack Sedgwick. The race 2 winner was looking set to continue holding up that momentum, but going to be finding himself well to the back of the grid now. I'm pretty sure he has got himself a bit of a broken suspension on that car now as Mark Fletcher weaves left, weaves right, trying to find a way to keep Carl Jensen behind while trying to attack Andy Shield as well. One of the altitude cars going to not be of any use here to the likes of Carl Jensen, is going to look to the right and try to attack down into Maggots. And the 92 car breaks late, and I think Mark Fletcher kind of let him have that one there.
Yeah, it can be quite imposing when you've got some of the fastest guys in the championship, which Janssen and Harrison certainly qualify for that description. It can be quite imposing when they show a wheel up the inside. Sometimes it's better to just, let it slide and live to fight another day. Whoa, spin, half spin there. Now, was that Janssen or was it Harrison making a mistake there? And, oh, side-to-side contact with Newman. It was Janssen. Carl Janssen, the 92, then comes back onto the circuit and then hits the side of Newman. And Alex Nettler, he's in there in the boosted Honda. Goodness me, this is carnage, Nolan.
Would it be race 3 if there wasn't a good bit of carnage, at least in the first half, right? I mean, this is, again, I wish I could say this was out of the ordinary, but this is just business as usual as Pete Newman gets muscled out of the track. I think that's far over a slowdown penalty. Pete Newman just got shoved off the road into a slowdown penalty.
Oh, it's just salt in the wind there as Alex Neller just shoves it up the inside there of Dreshaz, and that clears the path for Guinez. Look at Guinez on the what coming up to the outside of Brooklands there in the white and orange Hyundai. Neller throws the big block on Dressage, and Guinez says, "That's lovely. You guys go over that way. I'm going to give you a real clear berth here in my course of racing Hyundai," and then goes to pinch down. Pinches down on Neller and then makes a little bit of contact. Neller does give him plenty of room, and Guinez is, tell you what, he's taking no prisoners on his way to the front, but I suppose, Nolan, he's got points to make up for after that disaster in race 2.
Now Dressage going to be trying to maybe attack as well. I would say 3 wide to the cops is a little bit too brave, but maybe into Maggots if he can get a good run, which he doesn't. He can't even get around Alex Neller. He was forced to back out. Take a look at the replay here, and this was a little bit of a hip check there for one of the core cars that got punted around, and luckily Carl Jensen didn't have a whole lot of time lost there. He'll be able to reel that time back in, no doubt about it. Good thing, too, still got 10 minutes to go. Now is not the time to be losing a lot of places.
So after getting held up severely in that earlier incident, Ross McFarlane, he's back up into 20th position, but championship rival Corentin Guinez, he's in 10th. So Guinez is striking back here with a vengeance. But back at the front, we've bless them, we haven't mentioned these drivers. They're driving so well. Steen Ledger from the front of the grid is still leading the race, but he's got Tyler Maxson on his case, looking to score his first podium in the World Touring Car Series. And why not make it a win for Tyler? Of course, Tyler, real-world Hyundai young factory driver, races in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, has had a couple of pole positions already in his Hyundai Elantra, but choosing the Veloster, his old steed, for the World Touring Car Series, with his highly disturbing livery there. The Warjuna.
I said, be careful. The man's listening.
Yes, he can cut us off at any moment. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 9 minutes to go then, and Maxson is looking very racy here in the Veloster. So Ledger in the more longer wheelbase, saloon-shaped or sedan-shaped Elantra. Veloster for Maxson, the more kind of short wheelbase hatchback model. Over the stripe they go, and I think they're going to have Oscar Mangan on their case very soon. Yeah, one flat .2 for both Ledger and Maxson. 1 flat .1 for Mangan. So Mangan is on the move, as is Mikel Garcia right behind him. Whoa! Whoa! Hold on to it. Boot full of throttle. Wow.
Now that is how you save a touring car right in there, and that is no doubt some of the real-world experience that he's had to utilize there to keep that Veloster under control. He didn't even go fully off circuit with that one. He kept that thing with all 4 wheels still on the black stuff. That is an excellent move. He's lost 1 spot to Mangan, but it could have been a lot worse with where he was about to slide off track at.
Wow, save of the day there for Tyler Maxson. Yes, it's well, you've heard of Tokyo Drift. That was Seoul Drift, of course, these Korean machines. Wowee. Oh, just 1 wheel on. And you can actually hear him flooring the throttle there, because unlike a rear-wheel drive car, front-wheel drive car, just mash the throttle and hopefully it will correct itself. An amazing piece of instinctive car control. So there he goes. It starts to brake on him, and then, oh, that is fantastic.
Gravy.
That was a save and a half.
I'm never going to get used to having to plant my boot to the floor when
No,
I'm saving
me
these
neither.
touring cars, because every instinct tells you to hit the brakes to stop from going into the wall. You have to defy every piece of what would normally be common sense if you actually want to realistically save it. You hit the brakes, you're only going to just exacerbate things for yourself.
I have to say, I would be hands off the wheel, eyes closed, and calling my mum. That one, that was a big one. That was a big moment. Oh, 7 minutes to go then, and we're right on board with Mark Fletcher in the Audi, right ahead his championship leader Corentin Guinez, and he is in no mood to accept anything else than a big haul of points here. So he's now moving through the field. He's going to up into 8th position, battling with Andy Scheel in the 007 3M Honda. And Guinez makes pretty short work of it there. Up into 8th place he goes. But Scheel's not letting it go though. Scheel and the Honda holding the line around the outside as they come down towards Maggots now. And Scheel takes it back. Scheel takes it back. Great move there from Andy Scheel in the 3M Honda. But look at Guinness, just tucks it under and uses the drive really nicely. And now a drag race down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. Can Shield get that move back done again?
No, he does not. Brace too early. Cornzig Guinez going to be holding 8th place for the time being. Mark Fletcher, though, wanted to get past the Sim Sports Hyundai. The Pure Sims Hyundai. And on top of that, he's got Alex Neller in the booster machine right behind him that's trying to find the way through as well. So Mark Fletcher kind of being swamped from all sides at the moment. Not sure if he wants to play offense, if he wants to play defense. Still got just 5 minutes to go. And oh, hello. Here's another battle coming across start finish line now. I believe that's going to be for the 20th position. Fraser Smith getting into it with Michael Avdaka in the mad dash down towards Cops. Avdaka breaks early, going to go for the switchback here. Gets into the back of Fraser Smith once again on corner exit, and now it'll be Smith with the upper hand, and Avdaka will have to fight the long way around to make this one work down into Megan's.
Fraser Smith really deep on the brakes there, but tucks it back to the apex beautifully. Good move there from the full send Audi driver. Back at the front, it's still Steen Ledger from Oscar Mangan, and then Tyler Maxson holding on to third after that incredible save. He could have ended up in the fence, but manages to keep it on the blacktop. And Garcia, he's in fourth, so we've got a 4-car kind of group here at the front of the field. Then it's a fair distance back to Carl Janssen in fifth. Kieran Harrison in fifth, then it's Carl Janssen. And Johnny Walker for Free M leading the AM standings at the moment. So, owner of Free M UK leading in the AM class, 7th overall. Quite a performance, but he's going to have championship leader Corentin Guinez showing up in his mirrors right about now. There he is.
Michael Avdaka has retired the car, and after hitting the incident limit with under 5 minutes to go, Ashley Beard also facing down a penalty as well currently on the racetrack that he has to serve, or he will be finding himself out of this race. And I imagine he would have to serve it this lap or the next one, or he will be disqualified by iRacing for failing to obey a penalty given out by the sim. Andy Shield, you just saw him break past Mark Fletcher in the mad dash down towards Brooklands and Luffield. And on top of this, you've still got the Free M UK machine of Jonathan Walker trying to keep the likes of Guinez at bay. He's also battled out with several other drivers. Again, where do you look when it comes to these mad dash fights in the last 5 minutes of the race?
Oh, this is so important as well. I mean, Corentin Guinez has done a super job to come all the way from the back of the grid, don't forget. And he's now up into 8th position. You've got to think he would be able to dispatch with Jonathan Walker here and get up into 7th place. Then, of course, he's got 2 teammates ahead of him, Harrison and Janssen. Do they move over? Do they give some very valuable points indeed to their teammate Corentin Guinez? You have to say that mathematically it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, for Harrison, and I think now mathematically impossible for Janssen to win the championship. So, meanwhile, Ross McFarlane, he's up into 15th place. He's just gone past his teammate Pete Newman. And he's got a couple of AM class drivers ahead of him, so he'll be trying to just gain those last few spots before the checkered flag drops, trying to minimise that damage. But it's the momentum swinging back towards Guinez here. Jonathan Walker is throwing as much of a defence as he possibly can to keep the amazing young Frenchman at bay. And Guinez getting into a little bit of contact there as well, and coming down towards Maggots. This is where it all went wrong in race 2, Nolan.
And now, can he hold on to that through turn 2? I think Steen Ledger will have the outside line. Oscar Mangan trying to hang on to a race lead now. Ledger trying to battle back for it. The 85 car looking set, pulls over to the right-hand side. Behind them, Tyler Maxson wants to go for a race win as well. Steen Ledger can't make it work. High side through Brooklands. Gives the bumper, though, to Oscar Mangan out through left field. I believe it'll be 2 laps to go this time by, and the 4-car fight for the lead starting to pick up.
In my defence, it is a course sim racing car and a Free M car. I do apologise, dear viewer, that was not Guinez and Janssen. Of course, this is the battle for the lead, as my colleague Nolan quite rightly says. Mangan versus Ledger here for the lead in the World Touring Car Series. Who's going to come out on top here as well? Don't write off the Hyundai Velosters of Maxson and Garcia there as well. Now, we're going to be 1 lap to go after this one. Whoa, huge send there from Steen Ledger. And Mangan sees it coming and says, no you don't. And Maxson says, yes please, I'll have a bit of that.
Now this is crucial for Tyler Maxson. Remember, Maxson has historically been one of the most aggressive drivers you can get on the grid in this series. You've even seen that in passes he's been making earlier tonight. How does he want to play this one out? As looks like Steven Ledger got muscled out there. Miguel Garcia trying to go back at him. Once again, former teammates battling it out for third place. And I tell you what, Steven Ledger not about to let Garcia have this one easily. This is great news though for Maxson. He's able to break away for second place and focus solely on offense. You see Paul Smith trying to make a move on one of the Pearson Hyundais as well. Coming around. Oh, there's been contact for third. Steven Ledger has just been punted off the circuit.
Oh, well, the controversy continues then as well. So Steven Ledger off the circuit, contact with former teammate Miguel Garcia. Well. But this is your battle for the win. Oscar Mangan for Corsim Racing. It's not been the season he'd want. He's leaving Corsim Racing in the next few weeks. And, well, he'll want to sign off with a victory after such a successful time with the team. But Tyler Maxson's going to try and stop it. Up through. Brooklyn shows the inside as well. They touch. Maxson just shows the inside. Mangan goes through. Now, is Maxson going to leave the place by? No, he's not. Round Luffield he goes. Gasses up the Hyundai Veloster. Tyler Maxson is going to win here in the World Touring Car Series.
That is not going to go down well with stewards. I can tell you that right now.
It isn't. No, that's for sure. Okay.
Oh,
now,
boy.
Interestingly, Nolan, no team orders at Corsim Racing. So Janssen and Harrison finish ahead of Cornsanguines.
Mangan just a bit of a hip check to Maxson after the finish line, and here's what happened to Steven Ledger. Got punted off, and then I think it's safe to say he didn't really want to stick around for too long after that initial contact. You can see his fight was already over on the final lap of the race, and then this is what's going to happen here for Tyler Maxson. A little bit of a nudge there, which is all fine and dandy, right? I mean, Rubbin's racing, especially when it comes to touring car racing, but a dive bomb from this far back is not touring car racing, and we'll take a look at this one here in the approach down to Brooklyn's last-minute lunge, trying to get it. Was never really there, and let's be honest, with how fast he was going into that corner, he was going to overshoot that corner, even if he had the likes of Mangan hadn't been there.
Yeah, 100% agree there, Nolan. Yeah, that's a classic kind of push to pass or punt to pass, if you like. Maxson winning on the road, I'd be surprised if that result stands. That's up to the stewards after the race. So Tyler Maxson then wins on the road then, with Miguel Garcia coming home in second. Kieran Harrison finishing on the podium, with Oscar Mangan finishing, I'm sure, a frustrated fourth. Carl Janssen in fifth, and Cornsanguines in sixth. Interestingly there, Cornsanguines not being allowed through by his teammates in Corsim Racing. Very interesting indeed. John, what can you say about Johnny Walker though? 7th place and winner in the AM class. Superb stuff from the Free M Hyundai driver. Andy Shield was 8th, making it 2 Free M cars in the top 10. Then it was Mark Fletcher in the first of the Audis, and Alex Neller rounding out the top 10. Rafael Dressage was 11th, followed by Tom Dadswell and Michael Polishek, with Pete Newman in 14th and Ross McFarlane finishing in 15th. Again, 2 Pure Sims cars, arguably finishing in the wrong order as far as the championship's concerned. Very strange. Fraser Smith was 16th, followed by Paul Smith, John Roberts, Ben Gregory and Jake Blackhall. Then it was Sean Gardner in 21st, followed by Wojciech Savidovic, Ashley Beard, and quite a few drivers not making it to the flag. Steven Ledger, Jamie Rushworth, Neil Butler, Michael Evdoka, Jack Sedgwick, Lee Berridge and Elliot Roberts. Huge number of drivers biting the dust early on in that motor race. Well.
I believe, as you Brits say, crikey, that was a big
Core
one.
blimey.
Holy
yes.
cow.
Yeah, that was I'm almost speechless. Let's try and dissect things a little bit here, Nolan, with our brief post-race show. I mean, try and rewind through it. You know, Guinness wins race 1. You think, oh, champion, one hand on the trophy. Second race, he's in the fence. McFarlane's in the podium. Third race, Guinness has an amazing charge through the field, from the back of the field to the top 5, and McFarlane gets caught up in an incident not of his own making and finishes 15th. I mean, it's just like a pendulum going back and forward here.
That's how these races are. It goes back and forth, and that is exactly what we can expect to see when it comes to these types of touring car races. And obviously, of course, Sim Racing not going to be terribly happy with a few of the select drivers out there on the racetrack as well. And I'd imagine, seeing as we're swinging on over to Daytona, not about to give anybody, but especially I'd imagine Tyler Maxson, a whole lot of room out there to work with. They realize that now is that time. They need to be aggressive. They need to be merciless. You cannot afford to give up any kind of spot, especially for Corton Guinness, knowing what kind of a position he's in at the moment for that championship.
Well, one of our drivers has come to join us and have a little bit of a chat. It's Mikel Garcia for Full Send Racing, and Mikel joins us now. Mikel, second place there on the road, but my goodness, that was a hot and heavy race for everybody.
Yeah, that was intense, really intense. I think I need a shower now.
I can imagine. I mean, I'm sure our viewers want to know an incident at Copse Corner. We've seen it with Verstappen and Hamilton. This time it was yourself and Stain Ledger. If you can tell us your account of what happened there with a couple of laps to go.
Well, I thought Sting was going to defend the inside, being the last lap. When I saw he was going to the outside, I thought I would lift and then try to send it on the inside. I've watched the replay, and I think I've held the inside line, and he just turned into me, which is just a bit unfortunate for him. But well, it was an intense race. I guess the temper was a bit high as well, because it wasn't the only issue he had in the race, and he probably thought it would be a nice win for him. But oh well, shit happens, I guess.
Indeed, yes, it certainly can. I mean, heading into, this has been a crazy meeting here at Silverstone National. Your thoughts heading into Daytona? What do you expect for that race, and what are your targets for that last round of the season?
For me, it's going to be RNG. I'm not really that good at Daytona, so I will just hope I get lucky with the reverse grids. And, well, it's going to be pretty much a draft train, so I just hope I'm lucky and just try to get the best results I can.
Well, Mikel, good results out there today in the Full Send Hyundai Veloster. Good luck for the final round next weekend, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I would like to thank our sponsors, Majors Garage, for allowing us to race in the series. And
apologies there for the slightly colourful language there from Mikel Garcia. The emotions running high as after coming out of the car. Now, we're going to get a chat with our man of the moment, winner on the road, Tyler Maxson. Tyler, you have had an interesting night. Where on earth do we begin, my friend?
I don't even know. First of all, apologies to Oscar there. I didn't mean to punt him. I was just trying to drive up underneath him and got a little bit more understeer than I thought I was going to get, and not enough hook underneath. So yeah, it wasn't intentional, but apologies to him.
Oh, very, very, very nice indeed, Tyler. Now, rewind a couple of laps back from the final lap showdown. Talk us through the entry into Maggots absolutely sideways. To talk us through that one in that moment.
Yeah, that was a bit intense. That's why you don't let your mind wander. and that was all that happened there. Just a little bit of lapse in concentration for a second, and yeah, dropped it on the entry, and I thought it was going around there, but was able to hang on to it. Luckily, we can thank front wheel drive for that one.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Tyler. You've of course driven this very car in the real world, and now driving the new model, the Elantra. Forgive me for asking, have you had a similar moment in the real world car and had to react in a similar way?
Yeah, definitely. We had one during our testing. We had quite a big slide through turn 1 at Sebring. But that's the beauty of these cars. You can get these cars really sideways, and they'll pull themselves back straight. I've had a couple of incidents in the Veloster and a few incidents in the Elantra as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, Tyler, it's been great to see you fighting up the front here in the World Touring Car Series today at Silverstone. And now, final question, are we going to see you back for Daytona next week?
Unfortunately not. I will be leaving that morning to go out to Laguna Seca, so I'll unfortunately have to miss that one. This is my final race.
Well, what a way to go out. Tyler, thanks so much for joining us in the World Touring Car Series this season, and hopefully we'll see you again for next season.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Well, Nolan, all it says for us to say is that Daytona, 7 days' time, championship decider, one not to miss.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Daytona is going to be something else. I mean, you get the infield section, which is, it's your pretty standard road course race sort of thing. It's the oval sections, though. That's where it's really going to come into play. Will we be seeing a potential photo finish? Probably. Will we likely be seeing drivers going side by side and crashing into the chicane? Almost certainly. So you never quite know what we're going to be getting, but who knows? I'm willing to bet we're going to be having one of the most exciting races we'll be having on the season for the season finale.
Oh, you can bet that. And we'll have all the action here on RaceSpotTV, April the 28th, 7 days from now, 6:45 UTC. It'll be myself, Peter Mackay, Nolan Rempel, taking you through all the action. Do not miss it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on RaceSpotTV. Goodbye.